because nobody actually thinks of glasses as a fashion accessory, and hardly anybody manages to look good in them like he does. But more importantly, it can be extremely tedious and inconvenient having to be dependent on glasses for all these everyday activities at near and intermediate distance. So the concept of multifocality was welcomed with open arms several years ago. What I'm going to share with you is the important lessons that we have learned in this journey so far and where we stand today. We began by thinking that if a person could actually afford to spend for a multifocal, then apart from having suitable eyes, the most important criteria was that he or she should have a very easygoing personality. That was very important to us. What we have realized since then is that if there was one thing that was important for the success of a multifocal IOL, it is definitely precision. We all need a strategy that will allow us consistent precision at every step of the cataract management in multifocal IOLs. As surgeons, we were always focused on ensuring a very optimal surgical outcome, but what we have learned is that it's equally important to know what all exactly happens before the surgery. What happens before the surgery is equally important, if not more. In order to optimize the refractive outcome, the outcome can only be as precise as the data with which we formulated it. In other words, in order to have accurate keratometry and biometry readings, we all need to upgrade instrumentation such that we have reliable data with which we calculate our IOLs. Imagine a situation in which you have a clear cornea day one, but if the patient is unable to see clearly because he has residual refractive error that needed correction, he is not going to be very happy with our surgical performance. So ensuring negligible residual refractive error is extremely crucial, and for that, using appropriate IOL calculation formulas, even personalizing A constants would be a very good thing to do. As clinicians, we all understand the importance of thoroughly examining the ocular environment in terms of the anterior and the posterior segment, because we do not want to advise multifocal IOL in an eye where it is likely to fail, such as these eyes, and having made sure that we are not advising multifocality in a wrong kind of eye, the next part of our strategy is perhaps the most challenging. We all need to develop a knack of evaluating the psyche of a person. Here is where we want to weed out those typical obsessive and type A personality where advising a multifocal IOL is probably just going to add more ongoing headache and gastritis to us. So having made sure that we don't do that mistake, it's equally important to understand the visual requirements, the performance in terms of everyday lifestyle, hobbies, and activities of an individual, because it's going to play a very important role in what we advise and the manner in which we advise multifocality. But even more important in this entire discussion is the confidence and conviction with which we talk to the patient. That is going to make a very important role in the ultimate decision of the patient's eye. Needless to say, our confidence is usually going to stem from the performance that multifocal IOL that we use, our experience with it. And as we all know, the multifocal IOLs have evolved in a great manner in the past several years in terms of their configuration and visual performance. The lens that I have experience with is the Restore IOL, and the new evolved Restore IOL with the +3 diopter rad for near has a significant improvement in terms of far fewer incidences of dysphotopsia complained by the patient and a much better visual performance in terms of the near and intermediate distance. Of particular note is the fact that patients are very happy with the range that they have for reading and also the intermediate distance activities that they are now able to do comfortably, like working on a laptop, which is actually very important to young active people that we have today in cataract surgery. The reason we want to be confident about the multifocal IOL we advise is because it will allow us to be forthright. Gone are the days when we were timid or defensive about advising a multifocal IOL, fearing all the consequences of it. Today, for example, if I have a young active male and if I'm advising a multifocal IOL to him, and if he is hesitating because somebody scared him about the possibility of glare and halos, what am I going to do? Am I going to take the easier option out and advise him a monofocal? No, I'm actually going to sit him down. I'm going to explain to him in detail as to what kind of extreme situations in which he just might. Not every patient has glare and halos that bother them. So those situations in which he just might have a glare which bothers him versus the trade-off, versus the advantages of having a multifocality which allows him to read text on his cell phone, which allows him to work on his laptop, be able to read restaurant menus. All of these things are flexibility driven, and it's important to understand the trade-offs in his own personal life scenario and ultimately make a decision. In fact, we have several businessmen who have factories in the outskirts of the city and they need to drive back home sometimes at night on a highway. And I have actually told them about the fact that if at all they ever have a glare that bothers them, they may want to consider employing a driver or have somebody else drive for them. Because on the other hand, you have all the advantages that a multifocal IOL can give you. And it would be very surprising. You should see how many people who actually opted for a multifocal IOL having learned all that. So this ability of ours to understand a person's visual requirement and explain technology to him in his own practical everyday life, which allows him to make a choice that improves his quality of life, this is what I call building motivation. And this, I believe, has hugely impacted the multifocal IOL practice, not only in terms of people going for a multifocal IOL, but also people have become more satisfied with the outcome and of the choices that they've made. So as multifocality gained in popularity, we realized that of all the people who were themselves motivated for it, we could not actually go ahead and implant a multifocal in nearly 40% of the patients, because they all had significant unilateral or bilateral astigmatism of more than one diopter at the corneal plane. In other words, something similar was also reported in the literature as what Dr. Ramamurthy has already emphasized on. It seemed that apart from the cost, astigmatism, the corneal astigmatism, was actually the commonest hurdle to multifocality. And the ideal solution, in my opinion, would have been to combine the concept of multifocality and toricity in a single plane in terms of the multifocal toric IOLs. Dr. Ramamurthy has already emphasized on that. The lens that I am showing here is the Restore toric IOL. The good thing about the multifocal toric IOLs is, as you can see here, the good thing about the multifocal toric IOL, the Restore toric, is that incorporating this IOL in our practice needs no further additional learning curve. We formulate this lens exactly the same way as we do with a toric IOL, because it incorporates the diffractive multifocality on the anterior surface like the Restore and the toricity on the posterior surface like the toric IOL. And even the implantation is exactly how you would have done with a toric IOL in terms of ensuring thorough viscoelastic removal and also making sure that you're very precise about finally aligning the toric axis mask to the intended axis. And note here that we have a 360-degree cover of anterior capsule over the optic edge, which allows that effective lens position maintenance. So with this sort of situation where you do not need to learn anything new, if you're already familiar with the toric IOL, incorporating a multifocal toric is exactly doing the same thing. I'm now going to share before you the experience that we have had with the Restore toric IOLs. These are the data of the 61 eyes of 50 patients. The reason I'm going to share this data is because it shows us some very interesting trends in the society today, how our patients view multifocality in today's times. We all began with thinking that it's the females who are very motivated by multifocal IOL because they are very conscious about their appearance. They do not want glasses, but as you can see here, we have more males than females. And it would appear that males are getting equally conscious about their appearance too. So let's not discount the males when we talk about multifocal IOLs. Typically, the hyperopes were considered to be ideal candidates, and that may well be true. But it is quite logical to understand that it's the myopes who have always had good unaided near vision all their lives, and they would be very tempted by the idea of retaining that ability even after cataract surgery. So myopes are also very good candidates. As you can see here, nearly 50% of the eyes were moderate to high myopes. When we evaluated the visual performance of this lens, it was quite satisfactory. 6/9 or more unaided distant vision in 85% of our patients. The near vision, particularly the patients were very happy with because it was N8 or more in all the patients. And they all had a very good range of vision, about 25 to 40 centimeters. It's actually very important to have a good range. And that was, which was quite satisfactory, like the Restore IOL. Evaluating the residual refractive astigmatism, we found it was less than or equal to 0.5 diopters in 91% of our patients, which was quite satisfactory again. And in a questionnaire that was designed to find out if a person could actually go ahead and perform all his everyday activities without having to depend on glasses or without feeling that they are not able to do their activities well, we found that spectacle independence was achieved for majority activities in all the patients. So multifocality, in other words, has come a very long way. So finally, who is the ideal patient? We were all looking for a typical middle-aged, easygoing housewife, preferably a hyperope. But I think today, since we have more politicians than housewives in our country, perhaps the person on the left would be a good idea because he's so already used to wearing dark glasses, he's not going to be affected by glare. Or actually, my preference is the person on the right, the Honorable Prime Minister. Can you actually think of anybody who is more easygoing than this man? He would be an ideal candidate for a multifocal IOL. But jokes apart, multifocality and our understanding and practice of it has improved to a point today where a very large spectrum of patients can be addressed with multifocal IOL today. So nobody is too young and certainly nobody is too old for multifocal IOL. But the name of the game is precision. Thank you so much.